Gee, this is really, Oh, we're on! Hi, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome to the CC and JT Amateur Hour, where production values go to die. CC.
JT?
And this is the episode where we are clearly pandering for clicks. Because we've decided to give in.
We're going there.
We are going there.
Going there.
Obviously, it is Sunday, February 11th, 2024. Super Bowl Sunday.
For those of you who celebrate.
And we record this on Sunday, and then the podcast lasts for the week. So really, the game will be done by the time many of you even watch this, or listen to the podcast. So you will have known the results. The big game was played. Mighty deeds were done. Mistakes were made.
Always.
Things that are going to be living with the players and the coaches and everybody in the stadium, everybody watch for the rest of their life. Probably at least 2 or 3 oh my God moments.
Right.
Because that always happens in big sporting events. There's going to be a player who's going to feel like they were responsible for the loss, which in truth, everybody contributed equally. So there'll be a player that did extremely well. Drama.
Always drama.
The ethos of sports.
Yes.
And being played out in front of us like the gladiators in the Roman Colosseum. And I tell you, 90% of the people aren't going to care. 90% of the people are going to be watching for, there she is! Look at me! And we have resisted in this podcast for a while, but we are finally we're given in for a good reason.
Yes, we do have a topic in mind that relates to this.
Yeah.
And it is writing related, surprisingly.
It is
we
writing
don't always
related.
end up getting there, but this week we do have a writing related pop culture, I guess. This is a very pop culture moment right now. This time next year, who knows what it will be like. How people will be celebrating next Super Bowl and next Valentine's Day. But for this Valentine's Day, there is a big worldwide global romance. Huge romance. And if you haven't heard about it, where have you been?
Yeah, so this is actually I don't say this often, but if you want to save yourself, go ahead and turn this off now, because we're going to dive into this. But we're going to dive into it from a writing point of view.
Yes.
And of course, we're talking about, I don't know, what is it? What is it? It's Taylor and Travis. I mean, what is this thing?
It's T Swift and T Kels.
Yeah, it's okay. So
Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift.
Okay, so let's take the 10,000 foot view of this and follow along with us and see if this sounds doable. See if this sounds like something that you, as a writer, would write. The world's most famous singer.
Yes,
Talented.
she really is.
Talented,
rich,
beautiful, just billionaire,
savvy businesswoman.
Just an icon.
Yes.
And we're not, and throw the Taylor Swift thing out of your brain. Think about that. Think about this pop star that has got such international fame that she sells out the Tokyo Dome 3 nights in a row. And the Tokyo Dome is humongous. But this is how famous she is. And then there's this football player in Kansas City.
Right.
Kansas City. Now,
Kansas City.
We've been to Kansas City.
Yes.
We've been to both Kansas Cities.
Yes.
And the one in Missouri. And I'm going to tell you, this is what's famous about Kansas City. It has a lot of fountains and barbecue. And that's about it. Kansas,
Well, it's home to both the Chiefs and the Royals. We have been to the Royals Stadium because we are obviously baseball fans.
Yeah, and we saw the Chiefs.
But Chiefs Stadium is right next door to Royals Stadium. So
but it's let these words trickle off your tongue. Kansas City. It's right in the middle of what the Easters and the Westers would call flyover land.
Yes.
It's
the breadbasket of America.
Yeah, but there's not really a lot to land to see except for the city of fountains. It has 200 fountains. But
that's new information to me. I didn't realize that.
Yeah. You see, it's like you just can't help but absorb these things from people playing all this crap about. Anyway.
So with the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And we have a connection to the Super Bowl beyond that this year because it's being played in Las Vegas.
Right. Yeah.
So, at Allegiant Stadium.
Okay, but let's
the northern part of the state.
But we're setting this up without the personalities.
Yes.
So we have this very extremely incandescent, famous person.
Yes.
And we have a tight end, which is barely a position anymore in the National Football League. He is, and I should say this, caveat this, Travis was well known among the football circle because he is, in my opinion, a future Hall of Famer. I would watch him for years, and I don't know if Cece would even hear me. It's like, why don't they put two guys on this guy? He is or was, whatever you want to say. He was really good, but really outside of football. And his brother, his much larger brother, it's like...
That's another story in itself. But we should say that for the Super Bowl last year, wasn't it the Kelsey brothers against each other? Yeah, it was the Kelsey brothers Super Bowl. So the Kelseys, the two brothers on different teams. Yeah. One was the Eagles.
Yes.
And the other one was the Chiefs. So last year's Super Bowl was the Eagles versus the Chiefs. So the brothers are known.
Yes,
maybe not to the level of
they have an extremely wonderful podcast that we watch, and so it's like, also guys, if you want to talk about a podcast, hello. But I keep getting away from the point because there's so many angles from this. But we're talking about somebody who's this famous, and then we're talking about outside of football, somebody who used to be this famous. We're talking about somebody who's this rich, and we're talking about somebody outside of football who's he's not hurting.
Doing better than we are.
Yeah, he's doing a lot better than a lot person. He would probably be counted in the 1%, maybe even the 2%, but still, he's not doing so bad. But and then there's, and so they are in two completely different worlds. And dear God, this is a Hallmark Christmas movie.
Well, actually, there was a movie with Jennifer Lopez. It came out last year or two, called Marry Me, where obviously Jennifer Lopez plays this big superstar, which, she has been well known for a long time. Maybe she's not currently at the Taylor Swift level, but one of her big publicity stunts basically was that she was going to marry her boyfriend on stage during a show. Right. And the boyfriend...
Oh, right. This is Owen Wilson, wasn't it?
Yes. So this is kind of already, the similar storyline. He's a teacher. Yeah. Nobody knows him.
Right.
He's in the audience. His daughter convinced him to go to the show, and her big song is called Marry Me. Yeah. So his daughter has him hold up this sign that says, Marry Me, shenanigans ensue. So that kind of what's going on in real life right now is kind of reminding me a little bit of that movie.
And this is actually kind of our point because, how do I say this without, and I don't want to minimize or denigrate their relationship because, we're happy for them. They appear to be very happy. They appear to be, making great strides in this relationship. And really, we're romantics. We want people to have their happily ever afters. We really do. We want exactly the opposite of what the haters want in this instance. We want it to work out. And they both are strong personalities, we too. But as writers, if we were to even think,
it's a little implausible.
If we were to think about to write a story like this, even write a book like this, we wouldn't even come near it with a 10-foot pole because it isn't possible. Even though there is the J-Lo Owen Wilson movie, I watched that movie because it's like, I don't know, I think I was sick or something. I had a fever and it's like I'm trapped, so I gotta watch this movie. And there was huge. There, in my opinion, watching this movie play out, there was no way that they could really make it work because they are two totally different worlds.
Yes.
And while they have, Taylor and Travis have, a fame in common, and they are both talented at what they are two totally different worlds, but here they're coming together and they're making it work.
Yep.
And as a writer, there is no way in hell I would ever write this book.
So that's kind of our point, is that sometimes real life is more implausible than fiction, but because people will say, well, why did you write that story? It doesn't make sense. Why would these two people be attracted to each other?
Yeah.
How would this ever work out? Like in the movie sense, you wonder, she's this big pop star. He's a teacher.
Yeah. And
it does not seem like these two people are going to work out.
And they went through, in the movie, all these twists and turns
Lots
to get
drama.
the two of them together. And, and in quote unquote real life, And here comes the caveat. Here comes the caveat, which CC knows I'm going to do about. But here in real life, we have these two extremely successful people in their own worlds. One world is much bigger than the other world, but these two extremely successful people in their own worlds have gotten together, which is a little bit more plausible. But now I'm going to throw out the caveat, which CC knows what's coming, and I do not trust publicly created relationships.
Yep.
This happens more often in movies,
right.
where the two leading stars seem to fall in love coincidentally during the release of their movie.
Yep.
And then X number of months later, they have this falling out. But they don't have any regrets about coming together.
Right.
And dear God, how many times have we seen that during our lifetime?
Well, and there have been, it's not just recent events, it's going back in history, because early 20th century celebrities did the exact same thing. You had the Rudolph Valentinos, for example, where they were highly desired sex symbols of their time. And, everybody wanted to be with them. So if, their beautiful co-star for whatever movie, or their handsome co-star, they would get together, and coincidentally the romance helped generate publicity for their project.
Right. And but I want to, I really want to believe that is not the case this time, because honest to God, Taylor Swift does not need that.
No, she's had a series of relationships which tend to end up in her songs.
And so notably, I'm looking forward to, if they do break up, and I hope they don't, but if they do break up, I'm looking for the football song album that's going to come out about how she, the touchdown pass was interfered on, all the phrases she may have known before she started ending up in skyboxes over several stadiums across the country, but now she has firsthand about what flags are, about what defensive pass interference. I'm sorry, Travis would never do OPI. But defensive pass interference and illegal hands to the face. Oh my God, could you imagine what a song she could do with illegal hands to the face? Okay, we don't want that to happen. We want them to have a happy
Taylor, if you're watching, which I hope to God you're not, please give him a writing credit.
But we're going to go back to the writing thing, because we should go back to the writing thing.
And actually, we were talking about writing as in songwriting.
But the reality is as writers, this is completely...
It's implausible.
It's completely implausible. And so... let's talk about implausibility for a second. Let's talk about implausibility, because we all have these pet projects. We all have these pet writing projects, speaking as writers, that we have in our folder on our computer somewhere, that we've sort of tic-tac-tip on, and it's like we've written it, and it's like, oh, I want this to work so bad, and it does not work, because it is so bad. It's pretty bad.
It's just out there.
And it's like the Maggie book, book 4 that I worked on, and I wanted it to work so good, because it was going to be a standalone book. It was going to be a standalone book, and I wanted it to work so good, and it did not, and it just, I couldn't make it work because so many reasons. And
well, so it was similar.
It's similar to...
It was supposed to be a standalone, but you ended up discovering that it was similar to the Maggie books.
Right.
Which is why you've decided to shift it to Maggie Book 4. And that happens to us because I realized an old manuscript of mine, I was using the same character names and everything. It's like, we get these, I don't know, we have like furrows in our brain or something where there's this certain information, story ideas, character ideas, and it kind of... we're rehashing them in different ways, maybe, but sometimes it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't, and and for me as a writer, my books have to make sense. So the obvious question is why do we do implausible? Well, I think one of the reasons that we want to do implausible, because we want our the plots that are out there to work, is because, dear Lord, Hollywood has created so much crap. It has created so much crap. It has rehashed so much crap that we've actually come to believe that men wear iron suits and fly around like Peter Pan. And it's like when you think about it for a second. No, but they make it work. But there's some implausible romances like the rock star and the teacher. But we could go on to name other implausible things. Breaking the speed of light, which for right now is a dream. possible dream, but right now implausible with our level of technology, but we do it so often. Time travel. Oh my God. What did you just watch this week? Christopher Reeve.
Oh, right. Somewhere in Time. Oh my gosh. If you want a romance, that one is heartbreaking. But it is very implausible because watching it this time.
Yeah.
Through the lens of time, because I watched it not when it originally came out, but I think I watched it in the 1980s. It's about a 1980 movie, and it's Christopher Reeve and Jane Seymour.
Right.
And the storyline is very, very implausible.
Yeah.
They throw in a character to explain how this storyline is actually going to work because it is so implausible.
Yeah.
So it's just that, and there were things that I noticed this time where it was like, well, there's so much around him that would have broken this that it just doesn't make sense. However, I adore this movie. There is a cult following to this movie because of the romance. The romance is so strong. Those two characters really had chemistry. I think they may have actually had a romance. I don't know if it was,
you don't know
Hollywood
if it was
manufactured.
Manufactured for the movie.
But even looking at it all these years later, 40-something years later, and knowing what happened to the actors with the passing of Christopher Reeve, Jane Seymour is still around and working very happily, I think. She does events where this movie was filmed, talking about the movie because it's basically gotten a cult following over the years. Yeah. But like you said, the time travel element of this story is so implausible that you're just kind of like, if you're not just caught up in the story, you're going, wait a minute.
Yeah. So, and a very famous, very loved movie. But we fall for this all the time as viewers, and we fall for this all the time as writers because I'm gonna oversimplify this and push back. I'm gonna oversimplify this so much that it's going to make you cringe. It's because basically we will do anything. We will reach through anything. We will cross anything. We will climb anything. So our characters have that happily ever after. And we will burst through walls, that incredible walls like time travel, and men in suits that can fly and things like that in order to folk stuff. Well, actually, Tony didn't have much of a happy ending, did he?
Well, it depends on your idea of a happy ending, because he did have a happy time, he did have a romance, he did have a family, and now we're spoiling it.
And he saved the universe.
Right.
So okay, that's.
So I mean, in a sense, it's a happy. He had a happy for now.
Yeah, but my point being is we as writers and we as viewers, we as participants in these fantasies want there to be happily ever afters, and we could say that there's all sorts of other reasons, like we want our books to be memorable, or we want products to be proud of. But I think the basic reason why people want people do these implausible things is to get their happily ever afters. Now, did Somewhere in Time? I've actually never seen it. Did Somewhere in Time have that happily ever after, or is?
It was bittersweet, and I'm not going to spoil it. If you haven't seen it, I do recommend watching it. Just, suspend your disbelief for sure. Yeah. The ending makes me cry every time.
Okay.
But it's a good movie.
Yeah. So here we are. Let's circle back around to Taylor and Travis. And
the T's.
I don't even know what you call them. You can't call them TTs or whatever Hollywood squeeze name come in.
Right, squish name.
What we want there to be a happily ever after. We want there to be there is a sweeping romance because he flew to South America during a bye week to see her.
Yep.
She flew over from Japan to see him during the Super Bowl. And so they are going to great lengths and great expense to make this relationship work. And we're hoping with all our hopes that this is going to end up with that happily ever after, that we do get this royal wedding, that we do see.
Could you imagine that wedding? The Swifties will lose their mind.
Yeah, that we see beautiful babies, and that that we're allowed to grow old with them as they grow together as a couple and a family. And see, doesn't that sound so perfect?
Who am I thinking of? Was it Paul Newman and his wife?
Oh yeah.
There have been Hollywood couples. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Joanne Woodward.
Yes.
One brain cell.
So there have been Hollywood romances that did become lasting, beautiful relationships, and we saw them in their later years.
And it was authentic.
And it was so
Heartfelt,
moving just to watch the fact that, everybody kind of wants that happily ever after for themselves. And seeing somebody well known that you may love, Paul Newman was very admired. He was, those beautiful blue eyes and all that.
And he was respected for his respected for so many reasons, as being authentic and being strong, and of course his charitable impact on this world long after he's passed continues to this day.
You can still find that.
Yeah, and we want that to happen more often than it actually does, because Hollywood loves to create personal, real tragedies. So it's more things that go wrong in Hollywood that goes right. So we want this to happen, and so we're hoping that
it's genuine.
Yeah, we're hoping that Miss Swift and Mr. Kelsey have a long, happy relationship. But let's face it, folks, one of the other reasons that we're watching it is because we love to watch train wrecks. And and we don't know as much about Mr. Kelsey, but we know that Miss Swift has a history of train wrecks as relationships. And so,
and to be fair, she is a strong woman. She is a strong businesswoman, obviously, to get where she is. She knows what she's doing. And sometimes men, and I'm not sure, obviously you probably would not have this problem, but there are some men who feel that is an assault on their manliness to be with somebody. No, I'm just saying that if the relationships that she had previously didn't work out, that may have been a factor that she maybe was with the wrong men.
But we're not going to give the dumb shit haters any air here. But but the reality is that we watch NASCAR.
Yep.
Not to watch, they go around a circular track 250 times or however many times it is, make left turns 250 times. We're waiting for that one person to make a mistake and take 5 or 6 cars out at the same time. We're watching the Super Bowl because we know that somebody on a public stage, watched by millions, if not billions of people, is going to make a mistake that's going to live with them for the rest of their lives. And we're watching for things like that. And we're watching this relationship. Some of us are watching this relationship because we know that something may happen, and it may be an absolute explosion. And I can speak for CC and my singular brain cell. We do not want that to happen. We're hoping for the best.
Right.
But human nature being as it is, it could happen. And I'm going to be careful when I say this, because I know this is going to trigger some people. If that does happen, that may be the most real thing about this relationship, this very implausible relationship that seems almost impossible that it began in the first place. But
I'm not even sure how they. Oh wait, no, I do know.
Yeah, but
so they have friendship bracelets at her
and they have people in common.
Yes, but he somehow tried to get a friendship bracelet to her or something. They had a meet cute. Yeah. So look into their story, because there is a fascinating background to it. But it's it is, even if they don't end up being together forever, I hope they at least have a happily for now.
Yeah.
And like you were saying, if it's manufactured, hopefully things work out for
I
them
don't think it is, but what I do think, though, is the thing that a lot of people are watching for, and what may be the most realistic part about it is what, and I'm not saying it's inevitable. No. What I'm saying is the breakup that could happen, because
there's a lot of pressure.
There's a lot of pressure, a lot of visibility. They are, everybody's on the outside looking in, and it's so difficult, and so and honestly, they are worlds apart. Now, is it possible Mr. Kelsey will retire after this season if the Chiefs win and go out on top, and that way he can devote his millionaire life to his billionaire girlfriend? Sure, why not? But it's if that relationship does come to an end, oh my God, TMZ will absolutely lose their mind, and
all kinds of places are going to absolutely, and it will be rehashed and regurgitated every time. So if they do end up breaking up, every time either one of them has a relationship in the future, this is going to come up again.
Yeah. And as writers, you cannot make this shit up. No. You just cannot do
you can, but everybody's like, you can't write a story like that because it's too ridiculous.
Nobody's going to read it. Nobody would believe it.
Nope.
With writing, you have to have the suspension of disbelief. And as you said, with Somewhere in Time, you have to watch it with that suspension.
Yes.
And with writing relationships like this with famous people, you've got to throw in that suspension of disbelief, which is why I think that Marry Me movie didn't work, because you couldn't suspend that disbelief hard enough. I mean, J-Lo, we all know J-Lo, and we all know Owen Wilson, and we saw them playing people. And we couldn't, I couldn't believe their characters. What I just kept seeing was I kept seeing J-Lo and I kept seeing Owen Wilson.
Yeah, that becomes a problem because,
and so, yeah.
you know.
Okay. So back to the beginning. We're obviously doing this pandering for clicks, but not really.
Well, no.
Yeah,
it is almost Valentine's Day.
It is almost Valentine's Day. It is the most famous romance in the world, so it's reasonable to bring this up in this. But it's also reasonable to bring up the implausibility of it.
Right.
It is.
Sometimes truth is stranger than fiction.
Right.
Which, there is also a movie called Stranger Than Fiction, a good one. Check it out.
But so speaking to our colleagues, the writers, would you write something like this? Mm-hmm. Could you write something like this? Could you publish something like this? And for me, and you're the romance writer,
right?
You're the romance writer. Could you make something like this? I don't need to. You could write something like this, but that's not the question I want to ask. The question I want to ask is, could you make this work? Could you make this realistic?
That is the trick. And see, the thing is, with real life, we really don't know where this is going to go. Yeah. When you write a romance, there are elements that are common to all romances. They're not, exact. There is a path that you follow to get to the happily ever after, or at least the happily for now. Mm-hmm. And in real life, there is so much that can happen with, they have two different lifestyles. They're traveling all over the world. Yes, you want it to work because it's really cool, and I love seeing people happy, basically. I don't like the drama as much. I will click away from the drama, but I love the happy. So I am really hoping for them to be happy. Yeah. But if I were writing it, I don't know if that would happen. Yeah. There might be a secondary character that ends up with Mr. Kelsey because, his long time, he knew her way back when type of situation. Who knows?
So anyway, the bottom line is that we're wishing the best for the two of them. We hope that this works out. We hope that they find some time away from the cameras,
which is difficult,
especially with her. But we hope that they get some time away from the cameras so they can invest some time in each other to learn more about each other, and so they get to know each other, and then they can make that decision whether they invest in it. And as writers, we'll continue to write, and we'll continue to hope, and we'll continue to do this. One of these things, I couldn't do this.
No,
I couldn't.
I could not make this work.
I could not make. So anyway, pandering for clicks. Hi. Okay. Anything else we want to talk about?
Well, just going back to our relationship, basically, it's like some people think that we are improbable the way we met as very young adults. We barely knew each other when we got married. And there were people that were saying that we weren't going to last a year. And here we are 42 years later. We had a lot of our own dramas because it does happen in real life. Yeah. We're not the level of Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, but, think about your own relationship when you're writing. Or if you don't have a relationship, think about the one that you hope to have. And you can actually feed that into what you are doing in your fictional world, because sometimes things happen to us where we're like, people wouldn't believe that. Yeah. But it can make a nice little, maybe a subplot in your romance or whatever you're writing. So, keep it in mind. The implausible isn't always a bad thing.
Yeah, the implausible is not always impossible.
Right.
Okay. I think we've pandered enough for, people's attentions here. And if, and we're hoping for a good game today. We're hoping for a close game. And for Kappa's sake, we're hoping that the Niners win. We're not going to give you our predictions because, as I said, by the time
could go either way.
Yeah, by the time the game will have been over, and we're just hoping for just a good game, and we're hoping by the time you see this, it was a good game, and we're hoping that everybody has left for Nevada by then.
But one of the things that we tend to say is that no matter how good the two teams are, it's always going to come down to the team that really wants it the most. Yeah. Somebody can make a fumble that will just throw the whole game. They could make, a Hail Mary pass that will be amazing and be talked about for generations. So, whatever happens today, we wish both teams the best of luck. And we wish Travis and Taylor, the best of luck too.
And we hope that they want it as badly as they want this stinking Super Bowl trophy.
Right.
They want it more than this stinking Super Bowl trophy.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. We pandered enough. You can check out our website. Please check out our website at www.carsonhume.com, where we have all sorts of goodies for us, and we also have all sorts of books. And some of our books are do have some romance in them, so we hope that you read them, and please buy them and please read them, because we're putting a lot of work into them. But we also, because we believe in them,
yes,
and
we do.
We believe in them as much as we believe in Travis and Taylor. See, got back to that.
And I will say that we had a very good January on the book sales front.
Yeah.
We've had a little bit of a lull in the beginning of February. So please, for JT's, mental health, he's been checking the numbers every day and they've been a little sad. So could you please just go out and buy 1 or 2 books? We have a lot. It would make him so happy. He would have a good Valentine's Day. It would make me happy to see him happy, because I'm sad when he's sad.
Okay, we're done.
Now we're really pandering.
Now we're done with this. I'm just going to edit this out.
No.
Okay. Anyway, sitting over there, CC.
And over there's JT.
Thank you for watching the CCJT Amateur Hour, and we hope that this finds you well, and have a great game and have a great week. Y'all now take care.
And happy Valentine's Day if you celebrate.
Happy Valentine's Day.